Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another day of Bookmas. But the idea of going into space makes me nauseous. So annoying. Joan, what are you saying? Trying not to feel the pain. So today's reading vlog, I am going to be reading books from my 2025 TBR. Honestly, when I was looking at a list of the books that I put on my 2025 TBR, I thought I was doing horrible. I thought that I read maybe like 7 books out of the 25 or something. I think I'm up to reading 15 books out of the 25, which I think that's pretty good because honestly, I look back at that list too and I'm just like, I'm not interested in some of these anymore and that's okay. Like, it's been a whole year, things change, I changed my mind, I'm allowed to do that. But there are some books on there that I am still so interested in and I still think I could get 5-star reads out of, and I'm like, I can't believe I haven't gotten to them yet. So I feel like this would have been the perfect moment to get those books off my TBR and potentially find a new 5-star read. So I chose 3 of them, and Atmosphere, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. I don't know if there's an and there or if it's just tomorrow. I think there's an and there. Every time I write it down, I write down tomorrow times 3. So I don't know if there's an and or not. But that one, and also Can't Get Enough, those are the 3 books that I will be reading in this vlog. And I feel like I've heard such good things about all 3 of those. Taylor Jenkins Reid is already an author that I know and love. So is Kennedy Ryan, so high hopes there. And it would be my first Gabrielle 7 book. And this is a book that I've heard such good things about on the internet. And I feel like the thing that really pushed me towards it is that someone in real life, someone I know in my real life actually recommended it to me. And I just feel like no one in my real life ever recommends me books. It's usually the other way around. So I was like, I'll get to it. I will read it before this year ends. And the fact that it was on my TBR already, I just needed to. So I'm actually planning to start off with Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know why, no specific reason. I just wanted to pick this one up. I remember sometime in the summer, I was talking about how I don't know if I'm gonna read this anytime soon because I saw a spoiler for it on TikTok. Not even in a video, I think it was like in the comments or something. That was when I was scrolling on TikTok and doom scrolling in the summer. Have deleted it since then. But also, I completely forgot what the spoiler was. I think that's the only benefit to my really short-term memory. I mean, it's bad that my memory is so awful, but hey, at least I get to enjoy this book in peace because I literally have no idea what spoiler I saw. I don't remember what was said. That is good for the sake of this vlog. So yeah, this is our first read. I'm about to make a matcha and I'm just waiting for the water to heat up. Also, if my voice sounds weird, I got sick last night, like randomly. I kind of feel better now, but I was washing my hair, and even before I finished completely washing the deep conditioner out of my hair, I started sneezing in the shower. And I always blow dry my hair right away because it just works better for me, for my actual hair to actually blow dry it and not leave it wet. And I still got sick, so I know that leaving my hair wet and letting it air dry, that used to make me get sick in the past. I blow dried it. I don't know why I still got sick, but I was going through it last night. I was sneezing a lot, runny nose, and I just felt off. My throat was hurting a little bit. I woke up today feeling a lot better, and I haven't been sneezing as consistently. Slept well, also allowed myself to sleep until like 10 a.m. Yeah, so I slept in really late. I've been doing this thing, like I'm so determined to wake up early that even if I go to sleep at 2 a.m., I don't wake up any later. I still wake up the same time, and it's just like, yeah, that's life, but clearly it caught up to me. So sorry if my voice is weird, but I think I'm like okay today. It is so white. I feel like dairy-free milk is not this white. Right? Am I crazy? Taylor Jenkins Reid is such an auto-buy author for me. I think anything she writes, I'm willing to give it a chance, but I'm kind of scared about this one because I feel like the talk about space is going to be a lot to process. I remember when I read Carrie Soto is Back, there was a lot of talk about tennis. She did go into details about like the point system and stuff, and a part of me was like overwhelmed trying to keep up with tennis talk, but it got easier and I did start to get it. I'm pretty intrigued by tennis. Like every time the US Open is happening, I keep up a little bit, but that's just a lot easier. It's just a sport. And I feel like with space, it's gonna be a lot harder to keep up with what they're talking about and to a lot more information to process, but worried about that. But I can't pick up a book about space and then complain if they talk about space, you know? There's an author's note at the beginning of the book and it's really sweet. I usually don't read author's notes or acknowledgements or anything like that. I don't know why, I just don't. This one was really sweet. In the author's note, she says, "But I think it is also the relief I feel that those stars are immovable. Nothing you or I could do will ever alter them. They are so much bigger than us, and they will not change within our lifetime. We can succeed or fail, get it right or get it wrong, love and lose the ones we love, and still the summer triangle will point south. And in that way, I know everything will be some type of okay, as impossible as that can seem sometimes." I really liked that little paragraph. I'm gonna annotate the author's note. I didn't even read what this book is about. Should I just go into it blind? No, it's about space. Joanne Goodwin. Joan? I think this is Joan. I think if it was Joanne, there would be another N and an E at the end. J-O-A-N, that's Joan, right? Joan Goodwin has been obsessed with the stars for as long as she can remember. She's content with her life as a professor of physics and astronomy. And as aunt to her precocious niece, Frances, until she comes across the advertisement seeking the first woman scientist to join NASA's space shuttle program. You see, when I see things like first woman scientist, I forget the timing of this book. I forget that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes historical fiction. 1984. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. As they become unlikely friends and prepare their first flights, Joan finds a love she never imagined. I forgot this was a love story. It literally says atmosphere, a love story. Fun! Fast-paced, thrilling, and emotional. Atmosphere is Taylor Jenkins Reid at her best, telling a passionate and soaring story about transformative power of love, this time amongst the stars. That sounds like very typical Taylor Jenkins Reid, actually. Like, she takes one thing and she researches it, and then there's like a love story involved, but also just people with complex personalities, and you just read about different human dynamics. I think what I love about her is that she seems to go into detail on the things that she's writing about. Like, she didn't just write about tennis at a very surface level. She did like explain the point system. After I read Carrie Soto is Back, I felt like I understood tennis way more. So hopefully I'll understand space way more after this one. Let me pause this for some of this music. Okay, so I'm only on page 13, but the idea of going into space makes me nauseous. Like, I don't know what it is. That's so scary to me. And I was thinking about how, didn't like Katy Perry go to space recently for absolutely no reason? It reminds me of when that man took his son on a submarine and then they died, RIP, and apparently the son didn't even want to go. I feel the same way about submarines and like going to space. I don't need to do that. Like, name one reason why I would ever need to be in space. Like, if someone gave you the opportunity right now to go to space, some people might see that as a great opportunity. Like, say yes to everything. Why wouldn't you go to space, you know? But also, like, why would you? You don't need to be there. Like, things are happening to the people who are going there for research. But respect to all of them. Respect to every astronaut ever. I kind of hate when books have too many characters in one scene. Like, I keep forgetting who's who. Actually, no, I feel like I just specifically keep mixing up Donna and Lydia. And then I also can't remember, like, for the guys, who's married to who. Like, they mention their wives, like, I think once or twice, and I just can't remember. There are too many people. This one paragraph starts, in the swampy August heat, Joan, Griff, Donna, Vanessa, Lydia, Harrison, and the other two mission specialists, Ted, Marty, like, please. There's too much people here. It's not even that it's too much people. I just can't remember whose personality traits. You know what I mean? Like, they each serve a purpose and they all matter, but I keep mixing up Donna and Lydia. And Harrison, I don't even know who that is. Is this the first time I've met Harrison? Don't know. They also sometimes call each other by their last names. Of course, they do that. And that too, I'm like, wait, whose last name is this again? As I expected, they're talking about, well, Taylor Jenkins Reid is giving us details on space and stuff, and like their project. Calling it a project makes it sound so small when it's this really big thing, but their assignment, whatever. Yeah, she's giving us details on that, and it's not the hardest thing to follow, but I'm definitely not processing it as easily as I would, like, if I was reading about a sport, you know? But it's been decent so far. There is like a little bit of info dumping here and there, but it's all good. On page 66, she's thinking about marriage, and she's thinking about how her parents' marriage seemed fine to her, but then she still has this thought: you could develop your personality your entire life, pursue the things you wanted to learn, discover the most interesting parts of yourself, hold yourself to a certain standard, and then you marry a man and suddenly his personality, his wants, his standards subsume your own. Crazy. Talk your shit, Joan. Good morning. I'm about to make a cookie butter latte. I feel like that's the seasonal drink at every franchise. I know the Dunkin' Donuts one is really popular, and I'm going to try to remake it at home. I got Biscoff cookie butter. Am I the only one that remembers this jar being bigger? Like, I don't need more cookie butter, but the price didn't go down. I swear I remember this being bigger, but anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna make it with this, and I'm gonna get a little bit of vanilla syrup from my leasing office where I'm gonna get my espresso. That's what I saw for the recipe. Usually the cold foam is the most complicated part. I don't really I don't really like cold foam, so I'm not doing that. Just cookie butter, vanilla syrup, and of course I'm gonna do a little bit of sea salt. I just feel like putting a little bit of sea salt in everything, in every like sweet drink. It just does something. So last night I was reading and I didn't have my phone anywhere near me. I was reading in bed and my phone was out here charging. And so I wrote down some things that I was just thinking about updating on. Well, okay, this one says Kennedy Space Center. I think I just wanted to mention that I've been to the Kennedy Space Center. I went to university in Orlando, and yeah, it's like an hour away, and we went for a school trip thing, and it was cool. It was fun. I also remember that was a time that I had an ear infection, and my appointment to fix that, the only time I could get was like 2 days after that field trip situation. And so I just remember being there and suffering with a nasty ear infection. So yeah, that's my story on that. I have here that Lydia is a see you next Tuesday. You shouldn't call anyone that, but she's fictional, and also if you read this, you'd probably agree with me. Actually, I don't even think see you next Tuesday is what I should call her. I think the term that I'm more so looking for is pick me. That's a better term. I hate modern day terms like pick me, mean girl, girl's girl. Like, where are all these coming from? Notice how there are all these new terms to speak negatively about women? I hate all of those terms. Anyway, but that's like the best way I could describe it. Lydia is a pick me. And I feel like as I read on, she was just really annoying at first. And I feel like as I read on, it was like, she's doing it to get ahead, so I guess it's fine. In the moment, it's just so annoying. At one point, they were tiptoeing around a certain topic, and I was just like, this is frustrating me. Like, are we 12? Just say it, grow up. But then I remembered it was a different time. If you've read it, you know, and I now understand why they were tiptoeing around the topic. Well, it like clicked to me right there in the moment, but for a while there, I was like, grow up. But I totally 100% take that back. I understand. The last note I have is Joan's sister. She's just a bit much. That's all I'll say. Anyway, I'm gonna go get an espresso shot and make that cookie butter latte. Ever since I started using whole milk, everything is just a lighter color, and it doesn't really taste any different, but the color always throws me off so bad. I really have no idea what was the last thing that I filmed, because as I wasn't feeling too good, I didn't really have the urge to film anything. And I also felt like my voice was not doing the best. I hope it sounds better today. I do feel better today, and yeah, I hope everything goes smoothly from here. But last night I went to bed so early. I was in bed by like 8:30, which is, I don't know if that's normal for other people, but for me that is unheard of. And so I did get a lot of reading done, and once again, I wasn't really on my phone or anything, so I have my little notes. I have things that I annotated that I think was just, I mean, this one I annotated because I thought it was lovely. It says, in all her time spent watching others, she hadn't picked up on this part of falling in love, that someone could look at you as if you were this very center of everything. And even though you knew better, you'd allow yourself a moment to believe that you were worthy of being revolved around. Seeing Joan fall in love has been so beautiful because she's like so against it, like me. There's this other thing that I annotated on page 188, and I'll put the whole paragraph on the screen, but the part that I underlined says, I want to spend my energy thinking not of how my actions might be frowned upon by a man in the sky, but how my actions affect every living and non-living thing around me. My life is tied to yours and to everyone's on this planet. How does that not instantly make us more in debt to one another and also offer us the comfort that we are not alone? She was talking about how she feels about God and if they believe in God and whatnot. And for a while there, the conversation was kind of losing me. Not that I was like agreeing or disagreeing or anything. I was just like, Joan, what are you saying? And then she really wrapped it up nicely, and I actually really loved what she had to say. She took me a while, but she got there. I really did like that part, and I think that that in itself is like beautiful. I know on page 181, I just noted down hives. If you've read it, you know, I don't really need to explain all of that. I have on page 204, the only thing that I wrote down was F Barbara. I get real sassy when I'm sleepy. As I said, Lydia might not deserve what I have said about her, but Barbara deserves this. How do I explain her without spoiling anything? I don't want to. I feel like you should go in and read it yourself and have Barbara evoke emotions out of you the way that she has for me. And you can form your own opinions on Barbara. But yeah, F Barbara. Barbara is her sister, by the way. I think yesterday I've already said that her sister is insufferable, but I don't know if I said her name. Her name's Barbara. But if you have read this, the thing that upset me is when Joan had to go pick her niece up from school. That part upset me. I feel like that's valid. There's another part that I annotated, and I won't show you this or read the whole thing to avoid spoilers, but I'll read this part that says, she had not cut off parts of herself to fit so much as learn to make room for someone other than herself. And I just felt like that was amazing. It was such a full circle moment from the other quote that I read about how she felt about love. So full circle moment right there. I'm currently on page 232, which is exactly at the point where I have 100 pages left. This book is 332 pages. So let's finish this out and I will give you my final review and rating when I'm done. I remade the cookie butter latte, but this time with oat milk. Literally walked to the store yesterday to get oat milk because whole milk, I think I was gaslighting myself into trying to like it. Honestly, for the nutrients. Also, that whole milk has way more protein. So I thought this would be better for me. But one, it tastes disgusting. Like it tastes like something. And I know I complain all the time about how the dairy-free milks are like watery and they don't taste like anything. The opposite problem with whole milk is that the taste is like too much. I feel like when I was having my matcha, all I was tasting was milk. Like I was having green milk. And then I was like, okay, maybe this just isn't good for matcha because I don't know, matcha isn't as intense of a taste as coffee. So I tried my coffee yesterday. That wasn't good either. Also, I would be fine. My stomach would be completely fine all day. Like right after drinking the whole milk, I'll be good, perfect, but I would have stomach pain at night. And I was telling myself, like, surely it's not the milk. Like I drank that 12 hours ago. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I was trying to look it up. I think I have some kind of allergy to the milk. They say if lactose-free milk still isn't working for you, you might just be allergic to something in the milk. I don't know myself to be allergic to anything, but yeah, we're done with that. That was a great adventure of trying whole milk again as an adult after only having it like once when I was a child and like never again. I'm proud of myself for trying it, but ew, I can't do it. Anyway, here's my cookie butter latte. with Opal. That is so good. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Also, tasting the coffee and the cookie butter. Speaking of when I went to the store to get the oat milk yesterday, I decided to walk to get some steps in, and then a man followed me all the way to the store. So that's fun. Can men like just not? I randomly wanted to time myself and see how long it took me to read the 100 pages. 1 hour and 22 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't even really know how I would compare that to me in the past. It's definitely a longer amount of time than I would have taken in the past, but I don't know an exact comparison. I just kind of wanted to see. Anyway, the ending of that, the last chapter, I feel like I wasn't even breathing, like I was holding my breath while I was reading the last chapter, and my heart was beating so fast. I was so worried about everyone. I know this makes people cry. I didn't feel that. I was just like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? I didn't really feel the urge to cry though. Kind of going back to Barbara for a second. Oh my god, there was a point where I was just like, Joan, hit her in the face. No one would even blame you. Violence is never the answer, but just hit her in the face. Oh my god, she's actually the worst person I've ever read about. She's not. I've definitely read about worse people, but just in this moment, I cannot stand this woman. I think it's my own fault though. I kept waiting for her to have some kind of character development and improve in some way, get less annoying, wake up, learn some things, stop being so selfish. It never happened, it never came, and I was just like, that's my own fault for having expectations of her. I don't think I ever mentioned this, but this book basically does the past and present thing leading up to the mission. Like the current time, the present is December 29, 1984, and that's where the book starts. And they're on a mission, and they kind of tell you what's going on the mission, but then it flashes back to, I think, 7 years before. Yes, it flashes back to 7 years earlier, and we learn everything that led up to that point and to that mission. And I really loved how it was done. I loved that it wasn't one chapter back and forth by chapters. It was like she would put a chunk of chapters in the past and then a chunk in the present, and I prefer that. I can't lie though, sometimes when it did go back to the present, which was the mission that was happening December 29th, those parts kind of lost me a little bit, like it dipped for me, because that was a lot of the talk about space, and I was just like, what? Sometimes it did lose me, I can't lie. Sometimes I was not bored, but I definitely just loved the past more when it was more about their personal relationships and friendships, and learning about her relationship with her niece. Oh my god, it's the cutest, most wholesome thing ever. It's beautiful how much her and her niece like mean to each other. And yeah, that was like one of my favorite parts. That's the true love story. I mean, it's not, but that's a love story within itself. I think I gave a lot of my opinions as I was reading this, so there isn't much to say. I think the ending was really good. Loved the last chapter, loved how it wrapped up, and the pacing of it was kind of slow at first, but once you hit a certain point, one, you understand why it's that slow. I feel like it had to be that slow just based on the time, like the year, just the time period of life that they were in. It needed to be this slow. It just makes sense. And even though that was like hard for me at first as the reader, I definitely understood it as I continued, and I like that she did that. And yeah, I had a good time. I really did enjoy it. It did have its dips, as I mentioned, and the start was kind of slow, but by the end of it, I really loved it. And I loved 3 of the characters. 2 of them were insufferable. 2 of them, Lydia and Barbara. You guys are so annoying, but I love when any character like brings out emotion in me, whether good or bad. I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid is really great at writing characters that are flawed, and it just reminds you that people aren't perfect. This is just the circle of life. I also just love Joan. I love her niece, Frances. I've said this. Lots that I love about it. I think I'm gonna like sit and wait and see what I want to rate it. It's pretty high up there though. Had a really good time, and I definitely would recommend this. It's not one of my favorites by her. Like, I love all of her books, so me saying this isn't one of my favorites doesn't really make it bad. It's just that her other books are just so up there for me, and I think I've rated 3 of her other books 5 stars. And this isn't a 5-star for me because it wasn't perfect, but I have 3 of her other books as 5 stars. So we'll see by the end what I'm gonna rate this and how it's gonna compare. I know for sure the next book that I'm gonna read is Tomorrow. Let me go get it. Here it is. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. There is an and another and. I've just been saying tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. There are 2 ands. Anyway, by Gabrielle Zevin. This is my first book by this author. I've heard great things about this book and the author in general. On a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Sarr exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment, she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns around and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them into stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster. Ichigo? I don't know what that is. I'll look it up. Overnight, the world is theirs, spanning 30 years from Cambridge to Venice Beach. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, and the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one that you've ever read before. I think this thing that I don't know, Ichigo, oh my god, if I'm butchering that so bad, I'm sorry, but is that like a video game? Because I heard that video games or something was involved in this book. Or is that something else? Am I making that up? We'll read it and see how right or wrong I am. I'm going to start listening to this audiobook, and while I'm doing that, I've really got to clean up around here, do some laundry, stuff like that. So honestly, I already had this saved on Spotify, and I didn't have any intentions to buy it physically. Then I kind of forgot that I saved it on Spotify and bought it anyway, so I guess we can do both. Read along while I listen. So Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is about 2 kids that meet in a children's hospital when they're really young. One of them is sick and one of them isn't. One of them is just a visitor there, but they end up playing video games together while they're there. They become really good friends, but they have a falling out for 6 years, and they don't see or speak to each other for 6 years. and they see each other again for the first time when they're at college. They're at a train station and they spot each other, and so that's how they kind of reconnect, and they end up making a video game together. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm on page 102. The book is split up into sections, and it's like sick kids, influences. I'm currently on the second section, influences, and each section has different chapters. So chapter 5 of the section, influences. All we've gotten so far is really the past on how they've met and how they became friends, and of course the falling out, and then it kind of flashes back to tell that story, but also showing bits and pieces of their current time and how they're doing right now. And yeah, they just decided to spend the summer making this video game, and that's what they're focused on right now. I feel like the audiobook is really helping me to keep up with the past and present. I really like how the audiobook is going. I like the voice. I feel like that matters when you're listening to an audiobook. I don't feel like there's that much to say as of right now. I kind of feel like this story is just going to be a little bit devastating. I just remembered on page 55, where is it? Yeah, they explain the relationship between Marks and Sam. Sam is one of the main characters, one of the friends, and Marks is his college roommate. And their relationship is just so wholesome to me. When it was described on page 55, I was kind of tearing up a little bit. I don't know, I just kind of feel like this story is going to be devastating. That's what I think, but for right now, it's so much about video games. It's kind of interesting to think we can get a devastating story about two people who are creating a video game. So we'll see how that goes. Good morning. I feel like I've barely updated on this, and I think it's because I actually like the characters. I feel like all of my updates for Atmosphere was just me complaining about the characters, and I had beef with the characters. So this one, I actually like them, and I'm really rooting for them. They have their flaws too, but I really am rooting for them. I'm about halfway through now. I am on page 211, part 5. It's called Pivots. So yeah, that's actually over halfway. I feel like I mentioned that two of the kids, they meet in a hospital. One of them was sick and one of them was just a visitor. And the one that was sick, we find out why they ended up in the hospital and the accident that happened. And honestly, reading about that was so brutal. I don't know, it's been a story that just feels so real. The characters feel so real and raw, and I've been enjoying reading about them. And I feel like I find myself underlining a bunch of different things. Like on 106, I randomly have something that I annotated. The universe, he felt, was just, or not if just, fair enough. It might take your mother, but it might give you someone else in return. I thought that was sweet. Like, I just have random annotations like that, and it's not anything that I feel like I particularly need to talk about, but I have a lot of things underlined here and there, which to me is always an indication of good writing. Like, I'm personally really enjoying the writing. And it's honestly so interesting that I feel like this is a book that reminds me of a lot of other books that I love, written by like Sally Rooney, like Normal People or Intermezzo, or like Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. That's one of my favorite books. But I think the difference with this is it kind of has that same dynamic of focusing on characters, and it's just like more of a character study, but this also has them making a video game involved. And that's just unlike anything I've ever read. That part being thrown in there is like throwing me off, but not in a bad way. Like, it's giving me something new to be engaged with. I don't know, it's not bad at all. It's definitely just different from anything I've ever read. This part that I underlined literally just yesterday: the world had always looked painfully beautiful to him when he was sick. It was only when he was alone and he couldn't participate in the business of living that he tended to notice how lovely being alive was. Just random things like that I have underlined all throughout. There's a part in here that describes phantom limb pain, and I wrote that down because I remember I wanted to look it up. I had never heard about that before. I don't know if the descriptions in the book are completely accurate or true to real life, but if that is really a thing, it sounds so brutal. And that part also was just, it's like rough to read about. The part where I'm at, they're kind of falling out once again. They just have their issues, and they did this video game called Both Sides. One of the characters worked on half of it and the other character worked on a different half of it. Basically, the premise of the game is that you have to play the video game on both sides, and one side is like the main character of the video game is like really miserable and everything goes wrong and never winning, and then on the other side the other character is like kind of thriving. And there was so much irony in that because each of the main characters of the book who was working on said sides of the game, they were kind of reflecting that, like one of them was suffering and one of them was thriving. And I thought that that was really interesting. Anyway, that's really all I have to say about it. I am going to continue it. I think the audiobook is really helping me to get through this really quickly, and I think it's making the video game stuff less confusing because I definitely know nothing about like programming a video game, and maybe it made me think like maybe I should have listened to Atmosphere as well. All of the chapters about space could have been a lot easier. I'm gonna color while I continue listening to the audiobook. I don't think there's anything in here particularly Christmassy, but maybe I can find something winter themed. Rain boots. It rains in winter. Some cozy socks. Those are actually really ugly. A beanie. I like this beanie. A beanie with hearts on it. That's kind of cute. I'll color this. It says winter as it's gonna get. I know they have these in like Christmas theme version. Like the whole book is Christmas themed, but I'm not gonna finish the entire thing in December. And then also, like I've barely done any of this, so it just doesn't even make sense to buy a new one.
Below a checkerboard country lane, a pair of Jersey cows graze in a lavender field, tails swelling at imaginary lines.
I completely forgot where I stopped off. I think my brain was trying to forget, trying not to feel the pain, but I literally stopped reading because something had happened. And now that I started listening to it again, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be coloring right now. I feel like we're about to go through it. And actually, I kind of am going through it. I literally stopped reading because of this thing that happened. And then I went to eat and stuff, completely forgot that it happened. So we're at a stressful point in the book. So I finished tomorrow and tomorrow last night, and I just had to put it down and go to sleep. I feel like this book exhausted me. But I also feel like it's because it's the days leading up to my period. I'm always exhausted at this time, but the book, I felt like my brain was like dying as I was reading this. And not because it wasn't good or anything, it was just the devastation. I did expect it to be devastating, and it was. So that part just, I felt exhausted reading it. Honestly, there is this quote on page 258 describes Sadie and Sam's relationship, and it's like, wasn't there always some game Sam was playing? Wasn't there always some maze for her to solve? He was an exhausting person. I feel like that describes their friendship perfectly, and I kind of was exhausted too. It's also just that the book was like giving me hope and taking it away from me and giving me hope again and then taking it away from me. Like, please, I'm just a person. Also, side note, random, the amount of Annalise in this book, I feel like you're not gonna get that unless you've read it. That part, I'm pretty sure, Well, I don't even know. Is there some significance to that? Because I don't really know. Every time a new Anna Lee popped up, I was just like, oh, I don't get it. I love when I read a book and I think, how did the author come up with this idea? Like, what made them on one day think, I am going to write a book about two young adults programming video games? And it's just so unlike anything you'd expect. I think when I first heard this was about video games and kids who were programming video games, I was like, this is so not my thing. But it's such a character study. Like, it's so much, there's so much of a bridge that she creates. And I don't even play video games. I don't really have interest in it. And it's still so interesting to me how she manages to like connect their real life issues to the video games and how they program it. And it kind of also shows the character's passion for the game and why they love it so much. I didn't expect to like be so amused by the video game side of it. I went into it thinking, okay, I'm probably just gonna love the people, which I do. But the part about the video games, I liked that part too, and that truly shocked me. I honestly went to sleep thinking about this. I woke up thinking about it, and it's very like close to being a 5-star, but I feel like I can't give it a 5-star because I don't like the ending. It's one of those endings that I understand as a writer why she did it that way, but I just feel like, what was all that for? Why did you put me through all that suffering? I don't know. It tends to happen a lot in like literary fiction like this. It's very realistic, actually. I guess sometimes I don't want real endings. I want a more embellished and happy ending. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really loved it. I loved the characters, and this type of writing, it held my attention very well, like the stream of consciousness. So as I said, I'll give all of my ratings at the end, but this is very close to a 5-star read. So the book that's up next is Can't Get Enough by Kenny Bryant, and I was gonna start reading it last night before bed, but I just couldn't. I needed to go to sleep. I just realized on the first page in the prologue, it says, the front door stands wide open. That has always meant a warm welcome at the 2-story traditional house where I grew up. But now the sight makes me shiver more than the chilly wind of Christmas Eve whistling in my face. I don't think this whole book is like surrounded during that time, but it's like really funny that the first page, it's Christmas Eve. It's like perfect for when I decided to pick this up. Kenny Ryan's books are always like so thick. I'm always interested in the thickness of pages and how it changes a book, because these books aren't that far off. This book's like 400 pages and this book's like 419, but it looks so much bigger. Anyway, I also didn't start this yesterday because I was like, after this, my thought process was like, yeah, I need a romance. I need a guaranteed happily ever after. And that is going to have with Kenny Ryan, like it is romance. There is a guaranteed happily ever after, but there definitely is going to be some emotional buildup. And I'm just like, yeah, let me put this down. Let me go to sleep. Let's regroup. And I'll get back to this. But I'm ready now. So let's start. Can't Get Enough by Kenny Ryan, the last final book in the Skyland series. Kind of sad about it, but hi, it's been a while. I haven't updated at all on this and I finished it. It's because I just kind of had a rough week. It went from having a cold into my period. Just was not enjoying any of that, so I had to finish this one out alone. But let's talk about it. I feel like at the beginning of this, I was kind of struggling to connect to it. I think after reading to, like, Atmosphere would be considered women's fiction, and then I think Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow would be considered literary fiction. I think after reading those, I'm kind of noticing my struggle with romance is that I think I'm searching for some angst. Like that frustration that I got from both of them, that actually is what I was looking for. But I know that that's not going to be a permanent thing. I think that's just right now. I know I will go back to needing a romance book that doesn't have that like level of frustration in it and characters that like evoke that kind of emotion out of me. So that's more of a me issue. It always is, honestly. It's never the book, it's always me. But this book is about Hendrix and Maverick. They meet at a party because Hendrix works with Maverick's ex-girlfriend, and so that in itself is like such a mess. She is so determined to not ruin her work relationships, and she's like, no man is coming in between my job and what I need to do for my work. So this ended up being quite a bit of a slow burn. It's kind of weird because the beginning was kind of instant love, but it still kind of is a slow burn because she was so determined to not let anything get between her and her job. That is like the most important part for her. So I really liked seeing him like pursue her and really just show her why they would be perfect together, because I do feel like they are. Hendrix's mother also has Alzheimer's, and it's something that shows up throughout the book, and it's something that they bond over because Maverick's grandfather also died from Alzheimer's. And I think that's like the real connection that they had at the beginning. They just understood each other so well. Another thing about romance books, for some reason, when billionaires show up, although I think it was said that he wasn't a billionaire yet or whatever it is, when really rich men show up and they're like kind and perfect and they donate to charities and all of that, it's like so unrealistic. I don't know, I used to love a billionaire romance. It was like the perfect thing to read about because it's fiction, but now when real life is lifing, it's just like, it just all feels so I'm trying to find the perfect word for it. I don't know, it definitely annoys me. It just annoys me a little bit, and it just feels a little bit out of touch. There's nothing wrong with it in a book, and if you enjoy it, I wish I still enjoyed it. It's just sometimes I read it and I roll my eyes. I'm like, yeah, sure, you're a billionaire, and there was this one part where he was like, I have a maid and my maid doesn't expect me to clean up after myself, but I'm gonna put my dish in the dishwasher. Wow, you're so perfect. Like, shut up. That didn't really take away anything from the book for me. It's just something that I've noticed. I don't really like reading books where the male main character is a really rich person anymore. I don't like that anymore. I used to love it. I've moved on. I really love how this wrapped up. I feel like this is the perfect book to end the series, and their friendships was such an important part of this entire series, and seeing how close they are, I feel like the friendships is my favorite part about it. Like, not my favorite part, but I loved reading that. I think in this one specifically, it was just great to see everyone come together. I think maybe it's because I know it's the end and it's the last time I'm gonna see them, so I'm like, yeah, I'm like extra emotional about the friendships. I always appreciate Kennedy Ryan for touching on heavier topics. I think she does it so well, and I think it's so important to do in romance books. I mean, not all the time, but I think it makes for a really great romance book when you do add in these heavier topics. And also, she just knows how to write a good man. Like, I know I was just complaining about the whole billionaire thing, but the reason why it didn't bother me throughout the book is because he really was a good man. He was written so well, and that's just Kennedy Ryan. She does that so well, and every man that she writes, perfect. Just perfect, and very, very perfect for Hendrix. I just love how everything came together. There was so much going on, and I did feel like it was kind of long, but I just still love how it ended up wrapping up. So I really did have a good time with this, and I'm so sad that it's over, but I'm ready to continue her other series and see whatever else she has coming. So these are all the books that we read today. I'm finally settled on some ratings. Atmosphere, I'm giving 4.25 stars. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, I
couldn't stop thinking about it. Even while reading this, I was thinking about it. It's a 5-star. Like, the ending isn't perfect for me, but it's just 5 stars. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I really had an amazing time reading this, and it just, lots of emotions. So 5 stars for Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I think I'm settling on 4 stars for Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. And that means we've got 18 books out of the 25 for 2025. And the year's not over yet. I can still do more, but honestly, I'm pretty proud of 18 out of 25. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give a like and subscribe for more, and please come back for more of Bookmas. Bye!